Hello and welcome to another Uncle Cthulhu reviews. So today I'm going to look at another chapter pack. So this chapter pack was released on Thursday. It just came in today with my Vampire the Masquerade book. So I'm going to crack on with it. So like I said before, I'll talk a wee bit about the cards, but you can get a lot of details about the cards in a lot of the other Great and Glorious podcasts for Game of Thrones. I'm going to talk a wee bit about the cards, but also maybe talk a bit about the background for the world and universe. Certainly for me, the Game of Thrones, one of the things that really attracted me to it was the world building and the Westeros and Essos as worlds. This is also a really interesting chapter pack because in the background, the dragons are now starting to become massive, and certainly not the hatchlings are worse. So we're now starting to see sort of big dramatic effects coming into play from the dragons. So I'm going to work through top to bottom again, and starting off with perhaps the first edition start card, which saw most play, Mira Reed. I really like Mira Reed in the House Reed in the books. Certainly some of the most loyal houses to the Starks, and I thought Mira Reed was portrayed really well in the TV series. So they are frog hunters from the Neck, Moat Cailin, hence that's why she's got her spear, and they use that for frog hunting. Her and her brother, I think in the books, are described as perhaps having greener eyes than certainly what's shown here. And Mira Reed's just great, coming out of shadows, repeatable nightmares. Stark characters get sacrificed or killed. Oh no, just sacrificed. This time it used to be sacrificed or killed. Sacrificed, going back in the shadows. It's great. I say some nice touches there to show she's a member of House Reed. And then we have Shaggy Dog, who basically after you win a challenge in which you attack to kill him. So Shaggy Dog is Rickon's direwolf, and in the books he is a bit more ferocious than the other direwolves. He's a bit more wilder, especially as Rickon is left to his own kind of devices when the children and his parents are all off and involved in the Game of Thrones. So yeah, I really like the fact you can bounce this around and kill things. It's murder more. So the next character, Sir Mark Mullendore. Sir Mark Mullendore bought a black and white monkey and fed him morsels from his own plate. Again, I can't remember this fella from the books. This is my first time looking at the cards in detail as well. So after you win a challenge which you participate in, reveal the top card of your deck, put that card into play. If you do so, put them on top of your deck. So yeah, pretty cool. Can't be saved effect, so work really well in a banter bridge deck. It's a knight with a green icon and red. Yeah, he's a very solid card. And actually this card, Bonds of Chivalry, it's about knights helping knights, and it works with the Tyrell, removing people from challenge, standing them, having other people join in. Brutal with say pulling Sir Gregor into challenges. It's non-loyal as well. So yeah, I've been playing around with a Lannister knight deck, and I've been wanting to put Tyrell in with it as well. So certainly something I'm thinking about. The Bear the Maiden Fair is just one of my favourite cards for upsetting and messing around with opponents' decks. And like I say, I'm running Sir Gregor, so yeah, this could get really interesting really quick. Jon Snow, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. So 7 cost, got all the icons, 6 strength. He's probably a million times better than even how he is in the book at the moment. With a chance to gain stealth, intimidate, and insight. I am Lord Commander because my brothers chose me. So yeah, there's some great chapters in the book where Jon Snow becomes a Lord Commander and all the intrigues surrounding that. So yeah, it's a good card. Is it as functional as the one that stands people, Wildlings and Night's Watch, whilst Jon Snow's on his way from Ygritte coming back to the Watch? I don't know, but it's a really nice art there actually. Jon Snow, some Night's Watch in the background as well. It's starting to be winter, so the snow's certainly quite heavy at the wall. And if you don't want Jon Snow's Lord Commander, you can make somebody else at the wall Lord Commander with the Lord Commander card. So printing cost 5 or higher only. After you win a challenge in which you control participating Night's Watch character, attached character gains 1 power. It's 3 cost, but potentially there's no limit on it. Fantasy Flight Games needs to start learning to put limits on things, because that is potentially 6 power return if you're winning 3 on the attack and 3 on the defense. It's yeah, certainly a thing. So another one of my favourite characters from the books. I think she got a bit of a short thrift in the TV series, but Shireen Baratheon. There's some awesome art going around of Lucy Lawless as grown-up Shireen Baratheon. Ours is a Fury. But Shudder's character, during the challenge with Shireen is participating, choose a participating character. That character and Shireen Baratheon do not contribute their strength to the challenge. Wow, with a power, it's certainly given her a lot of edge in the power stakes and knocking people in or out of challenges. Well, we're reducing their strength, obviously not knocking them out of challenges. But if there is a faction that should be good with power, it should be the Baratheon. And privileged position. Play only if you've not lost a power challenge each round. When the effects of an opponent's event or trigger locations would cancel those effects. So it's a cancel for Baratheon. And obviously this is Stannis whilst he's up at the north. Up at the wall. You can see the fiery heart on the shields. Yeah. Cancel's good. Baratheon should be pretty good at not losing power challenges. Tithe Collector. So it's a member of the Seven for the Lannisters. So I think at this point in the books, the Lannisters are metaphorically in bed with the Seven, as Cersei's using the High Septon in her intrigues. After you collect income, pay 2 gold to have Tithe Collector gain 1 power, and he gets a gold himself. So yeah, passive power gain. It's never going to be the most exciting, but the Seven agenda can clock up power quite rapidly. So this is something you never want to take your eye off, I suppose. And Tyrion Lannister playing a game of crevasse with a clever feint. Neo faction card, choose any number of control with shadows and return each shows to shadows. So something that puts stuff back in its shadows. I must admit, I haven't been playing as much Game of Thrones at the moment as I would have liked. Thrones DB is down, so it's really hampered my ability to build decks and play on the Iron Throne. And actually, I've had a lot of other stuff on. So yeah, but that's Tyrion Lannister playing some crevasse, looking as uglier as he should be. And Peter Dinklage plays Tyrion Lannister. Awesome in the TV series. He just does not look like an imp, and the scar on his face just isn't as horrific as it should be in the books. Now, another one of my favourite characters in the books, Victarion Greyjoy. Challenge actions: kneel a worship location to choose one. Choose a kneel location, stand Victarion, or have Victarion gain renown until the end of the challenge. So I suppose it's repeatable kneeling, and you do have some warships which just hang around and do nothing. I'm not sure he's as good as a 6-coster, but what I like about this is when they do ship-to-ship combat, and it talks about this, there's a chapter where they're engaging a ship, and most people don't wear armour when they're on ship-to-ship combat, because if they go overboard they're going to drown. Victarion, being an absolute badass, he wears full armour when he's fighting, and if the drowned god takes him, the drowned god takes him, and he ends up fighting I'm pretty sure it's down the Red Wine Island, and he ends up fighting a ship, and the Lord, or the Lord's son on board the ship, actually faces Victarion in armour. So Victarion has a lot of respect for him as he dispatches him to the drowned god. Grey Ghost. I don't know whose ship Grey Ghost is. This is where I find out it's Victarion's. Neil Grey Ghost, choose a character, up to 2 characters instead of if it came out of Shadows, and they cannot be declared as a defender, putting Greyjoy back into the unopposed realms again. And they've got an agenda coming up which basically is put to the sword each turn, so I think Greyjoy is just going to go back to cutting everything up. Dragon. So like I said before, these aren't the hatchlings anymore. Thus far the green dragon had shown himself to be more dangerous than the white, so Rhaegal. So these can ambush, which I suppose represents them flying in unopposed, but still quite a hefty cost for ambush. And after opponent's character is killed by a card effect, stand Rhaegal. So if you're burning people up, Rhaegal's going to be able to stand lots as well. So you could even use him to Dracarys. Dracarys kills somebody and he stands. So again, it's another Targaryen cost, Targaryen card which says cost. Who cares about costs? We're Targaryen. It seems to be all the rage with their ability to pretty much not care about most of the costs, or most of the costs ending up being quite a good thing. Not that I'm salty about Targ, but yeah, they do seem to be getting all the good stuff at the moment. Speaking of good stuff, this card's great in Marine Market. It's great because it's a card which combines 2 other cards. So it combines Isle of Ravens and Economy. And yeah, so if you can get cards which will cover both multiple functions, that's great. Yeah, you could take out all your opponent's stuff you don't want them to reuse again. You can put all your events back in so you can reuse them. It's yeah, it's a tag card. Houseman Woody Guard. So I'm still waiting for Fantasy Flight Games to create the most famous member of Houseman Woody, which will be Dickon. But yeah, so he's a Martell. He's a guard, and does not kneel when declared as a defender whilst you're not the first player. So there's been some decks starting to be around where Martell want to be first player to take advantage of some stuff, and this has given it back to the archetype of Martell's going second again. And this is a really interesting one. It's I spoke about him last time, the big man, Quentin Martell, while they're on the mission to Essos. So if you're going to burn through your deck, it allows you to basically get your discard pile back into your deck and draw 3 cards. So yeah, remove all but the bottom card. That's important because if you removed it all, you'd lose the game. as your last card went. So yeah, really interesting one. Allows you to burn through a whole load of cards really quickly, events and stuff, and rebuild your pile. Still quite niche, but yeah, it's an interesting design space. So the second giant, 1/1. The giant ate no meat at all, though he was a holy terror when served a basket of roots, crunching onions and turnips, and even raw hard neeps between his big square teeth. So yeah, it's no icons, but as long as he's with wildlings, he can jump into a challenge, and he's 11 strength. So potentially you are not going to lose many challenges with this fella on the board. Next one, so poison coin. So this is quite interesting that it's I wonder if we're going to see a Shadow Aria coming out, because in the books this is a method that Aria uses to kill somebody that she's been asked to kill while she's training in the House of Black and White with a poisoned coin. And obviously after you win an unopposed challenge which control that character with Shadow, place a poison coin on character without Shadow control by the losing opponent. So yeah, so certainly I would expect to be seeing a Shadow Aria coming out. I think he's a money lender in the books, and he bites every coin to make sure it's a real metal, and she manages to slip a poison coin in there. Free folk agenda. So your plot cards, a draw deck can only include neutral cards. After claim is applied for a challenge in which you control an attack wildling character, kneel a factory card to apply a claim of another type. So yeah, so really useful utility agenda. Having to build a neutral / wildling deck be quite interesting. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to play around with. And we have the plot, winter reserves. So we were chatting about this, that winter is now becoming a thing, and that you're starting to get a lot of winter cards with some interesting effects and some like gold reserves. Traditionally the winter cards were terrible, so if you're trying to play winter, you really slowed yourself down as well, and actually reserves as well. So whilst winter reserves in your use pile, increase the gold value and reserve value on your revealed winter plot card by 1. So yeah, so it's going to add a lot of strength to our winter deck. Bit of a trap with Kingdom. Obviously if you open with this and your opponent opens with Naval, you're scuppered for a turn. I generally like to open with a winter or summer plot without any negative traits, because yeah, naval occasionally is a thing. So there we go. So Music of Dragons chapter pack. So what have we seen? We've seen some of my favourite characters out the boot. Mira Reed out the TV series. Victarion getting a new card, new dragon. Miranese Market for the tags. Another Shireen Baratheon, Lord Commander. So yeah, so it's pretty interesting stuff. I don't think you're going to see a lot of Mira Reed in decks. Although she's not going to be as useful as before without the kill to return it to shadows. But I think she's going to be the card out of this deck you'll see most of. Well, Marine Market as well. I think you'll see a lot of Marine Markets, especially with tag being so popular right now. So that's been the end of my review. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Be one more chapter pack coming up, and then I'll be going to the Siege of Winterfell, the Scottish Road to Stalek event. So I can see some of you folks there. Also, we'll do some sort of video from there as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully my getting over the cold voice and I haven't been too stuttery for you. But enjoy the rest of your day, and you have a great one.